appealed to me more because they were a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
They were more like I was.
Uh-huh.
And what else was it? No me acuerdo.
What about the businesses in Colton, Rose? The businesses like
Markets,
the
Martinez.
market where you shop, where your family shops.
Martinez, and we would buy our sweet bread from there and cheese and stuff like that. My father would go and sit in their store all day long and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And La Paloma, the little store, and then that was about it.
How about La Esperanza with?
Oh yes, my father was real chummy with the owner of La Esperanza, but that was a little bit further.
Yes.
But we would go there,
Uh-huh.
and he would order stuff like meat for tamales or something like that, and
Mhm.
we would go there.
Wasn't there a caldera?
Caldera, they had the plunge on what street is that one?
Fifth.
Fifth.
They had the plunge in Colton for years and years. But as I grew up, they shut it down. I don't know who it was condemned or what.
My dad said that there was a caldera market or something at some time.
Yeah, across the street on N Street, across the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was a store there. It was right next to the railroad. What was his name? Oh, I can't remember his
Yeah.
name. You know, it was right.
Yeah, it was. I think it's Calderas there. That.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that one. And
Well,
then
tell me about the plunge. You know, I've heard about the plunge, but I never saw her.
the plunge.
Yeah, the Caldera plunge.
Oh,
It was on Fifth and Fogg Street, Henry?
I got to see it.
Between Agua Mansa and Fog, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I saw it, and I saw when they were using it, but I never participated in it.
Uh-huh,
It didn't have a very good reputation.
uh-huh,
I don't know if they didn't clean it or what,
uh-huh,
but we never went there. We went to the other one.
uh-huh. Talking about the other one,
We were, of course, discriminated there too. We had certain days we couldn't go swimming.
oh, I know, there were certain days where Mexican Americans couldn't go to that plunge. What
Um,
about the show, the new Colton and
Also,
the
the
upsetting?
same thing. We had our little section where we would have to sit,
Uh-huh.
and we followed instructions. We followed directions. Yeah.
So you go in the new Colton and you know where you were supposed to
We know where we
sit?
belonged, and we went there and we sat and kept out of trouble.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, it would have put us
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
It was a bad place to live.
Mhm.
Wasn't that great?
Mhm.
As far as that goes, discrimination, because they all looked down on us, but
Mhm.
we survived
Mhm.
despite their desires or whatnot. A lot of them, I don't know where they came from. They weren't human. You know, they were not human. They were beyond that.
Who was that, Rose?
Los americanos que venían, and they would mistreat us and stuff.
Oh, there was just segregation, prejudice.
Yeah, there was so much of that.
Yeah, and they didn't hold back.
No, they knew they had nothing to fear.
I was gonna ask you, how was it growing up in a segregated community? Because the railroad track was was a border, yeah.
It wasn't good. It was not good. I know that. It didn't affect me too much because I was always at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't affect me a whole lot, but it did affect me when I went to school. Slurs from other people. If we went to buy something, they wouldn't wait on us. We'd have to wait and wait. Finally, we got up and we walked out.
Mm.
That's what happened a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Those were the stores downtown Colton, the gringo stores? Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't wait on us, so we got up and we walked out.
How did it make you feel?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there, our hands were clean, we were not dirty. We also worked for the little money that we had,
Mm-hmm.
because we all worked, one thing or another. But they didn't see it that way, they just hated us.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, this is the best.
Now, you mentioned your sons and daughter, your daughter and your sons. They're pretty successful now, Rose.
Yes.
They're very successful
Very.
now. Now, I would imagine that things changed for them compared to
With our
what we went through.
struggles, with our struggles and all the stuff we had to overcome, made it easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely, because it's still there. You can still hear the remarks, but my son has done very well. The other one has also done very well, but he's up there in the LA area. You don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it, but he's done very well. And the youngest one, he's You said, no, he's not a lieutenant,
Mhm.
I think he's a sergeant. Did I say sergeant or what did I say?
You said lieutenant.
Well, he is a
Ah,
lieutenant.
mhm.
He is, he's done very well, but he's
Mhm.
smart. He didn't go to school, he didn't go to college, and he did everything just right.
Mhm.
He's lucky that way, he's got the brains to
Mhm.
carry him through.
Mhm.
And he's the one that takes care of me.
Be what?
He takes care of me because I'm alone now.
Oh, he takes care of you.
He takes care of me in his
Uh-huh.
own little way. He'll go to my house in the evening, about dinner time. He'll look around and see did you have dinner
Mhm.
yet? He'll get together and make some mix for me and stuff. Makes me eat 'em.
Now, Rose, tell me about, how do you know Henry's grandmother?
Henry's grandmother?
Henry's grandmother, Margarita.
Margarita Gomez?
Yes.
Oh, but she was so well known because she played the piano and she gave instructions. So
Yeah.
everybody went to her for lessons.
And then she led the choir at the
At church.
At church.
La señora muy quiet, muy, and then Ernie Gomez is her grandson, Martha Macaro,
He's my uncle.
there you go, and they were always involved in the church, and I knew Martha, and I knew Ernie, we never hung around, but I did know them, we
Mhm.
talked to each other and
Mhm.
stuff.
So, Henry, your grandma was very involved with the church then?
All of her life, when she was a small girl, she was given piano lessons by a lady who had learned in the conservatory in some place in Mexico, and so she learned at a very early age. And then there was a priest from Spain that used to. He was in charge of San Salvador when it was still on Fifth Street.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar that it was close to the corner of Aguamansa and Fifth Street. That was the original San Salvador, and then later on they moved it over there, to
Oh,
L Street.
Mhm.
I might
But
have heard about that.
but she used to play the organ for that church, and I'm assuming it must
Oh,
have
back
been.
then, Henry?
Yeah, it must have been a pump organ.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she would tell us funny stories about how the priest would call her as he was walking to the church and tell her. He had a funny pet name for her. I don't remember what it was, but he would tell her something like Margarita, levántate ya, es hora de la misa, And so, I don't know exactly. She might have been maybe about 10 by then, but she would play the organ at
She
church.
was already playing?
Yeah, probably very simple stuff, I would
Well,
imagine.
that's all we had there in that church, simple stuff.
Yeah, later on, she became a much better pianist and taught lessons and everything. But in her early days, she probably just, accompanied the very simple hymns.
Yeah, but you know what? She was well known. She was very well, and I know Martha very well.
Uh-huh.
And she's
No.
also musical.
Now, when did your grandma come to Colton, Henry?
Well, according to our family history, she was supposed to have been 2. She was born in 1898, so that would place it around 1900. But it could have been, give or take a year or two.
So she came to Colton in 1900?
In around 1900,
Uh-huh.
and
Her parents came to Colton?
her parents came. They were the ones that were from Chinampas, Jalisco.
Mm-hmm.
They started on the road before she was born, and she wasn't born. Her brothers and sisters were born in Chinampas, Jalisco, but she was born in Coahuila, San Pedro de las Colonias in Coahuila. And then by the time
And that was still in Mexico,
that
right?
was in
Oh,
Mexico,
mhm.
and then by the time that they got to Colton, she was 2.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Ah,
Very
a long
interesting.
road.
so
Ah.
you're almost a Colton native from the day one then?
I
Yeah.
swear. Your story sounds better than mine.
Oh no.
No, I
No.
think it all ties in.
Yeah, it does.
Because you brought Margarita, you introduced Margarita.
Margarita was an influence to all the people in South Colton because she was a musician. She was available for lessons if you could afford it, and everybody knew her kids. Ernie.
Now, she married, she married young Henry when she was.
She was very young. think like between 14 and 16. And
And how many children did she have?
there were 8 that survived, and I think many more that were stillborn.
Now, how do you fit in the family?
Well, my mother, Luz, was the oldest of the children, of the surviving children. I think some had been born before her. And I'm the 3rd son of my mom, Luz.
Is she still living?
Oh, no, she passed away
away?
in 1996.
Oh my God, no wonder I couldn't remember her.
Mhm.
But I remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, my aunt Auralia is still alive, and my aunt Carlota, they're both still alive. Well, Carlota's 91, Auralia's 89,
Wow.
so they're
Longevity.
getting up there, yeah. And then
Mhm.
Raul is the next one in line that's still alive. Antonio died, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know, it's been a while.
Mhm. And that's it?
Oh, no, and then Gabriel, I think he actually was a little older than Raul, and then there was a gap, and then Ernie, is Refugio
What about
Jr.
Tony?
Hmm?
What about Tony?
Well, he was the oldest son, the oldest surviving son, but he passed away about 5 years ago. Something. Yeah,
I didn't know
And they were
that.
all musicians.
yeah. Tony was a band leader.
Mhm.
He was
He was good.
the main trumpeter for the Sal Vasquez Orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically did like the arranging and all of that sort of stuff. But Sal was the like the manager,
Mhm.
and he played the piano for the.
And Raul played the saxophone.
Raul played the saxophone, the clarinet, and occasionally a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
But the reed instruments like sax and clarinet were his main instruments,
Mhm.
and trumpet was for Antonio, for Tony.
Mhm. Golly, yeah, they were all musicians. I remember
Yeah.
she was well known for the music, yeah.
I just read a story, Henry. Juanita Rodriguez. Juanita Rodriguez was born in 1913 in Colton, and when she was 7 years old, she took lessons from your grandma.
Mm.
Really?
She took lessons from your grandma, and she was from the Rodriguez family, from the owners of the Esperanza store.
Oh
She
my
was from that
God.
family, and she mentions that she thoroughly enjoyed learning how to play music. She also helped Margarita at the church to put the music with the church, and anyway, to her it was a wonderful experience of being able to learn how to play the piano with your grandma. And I think that should be another interview that we will have and talk about the musical influence that your grandmother had, and also the music, the bands that we had in Colton during that era of the 1916s all the way to the 60s. Yeah, I think that should be
Well, I
another
think
topic.
my uncle Raul would be the one that would remember the most
Yeah.
about that, because he was in the bands, and Ernie was asked to kind of actually almost forced to participate for just a little while, and he didn't like it because he was more like a choral musician and a
Yeah.
We
piano.
used to have him in the choir at
Yeah.
church and all this stuff.
Yeah, he didn't enjoy playing popular music that much, so I think he likes it more now than he used to back then. But
Yeah. Well, that would be for another interview.
yeah,
But Rose,
Mhm.
is there anything that I missed that I should ask you about
Oh.
on this interview?
I can't remember. I know there's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't tell you. I appreciate the opportunity, though. I'm very proud about my sister, but she always was a standout.
Well,
And
you know,
because I was the eldest, and Angie, and then there was another one, and her. So
Uh-huh.
she was further down, so she could get more attention.
yeah,
And she got the school.
she didn't go through the hardship that you went
No,
through.
and we did for her what she couldn't have done for us.
Okay.
But I'm grateful. I really am.
Well, I'm also grateful that you were able to be with us today
Well, this is
and give us a little background on growing up in South Colton as a girl and as a young woman
Mhm.
that was very, how can I say, was limited in opportunities to
Very
be able
much.
to,
Very much.
to do anything.
Not only by the area, the people, but my own mother, my own father.
Mhm.
They had put some restrictions on us. Whether they were verbal or not, they were there. We couldn't get out and go and do stuff, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's over and done with.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
And Henry, thank you for introducing and giving us that background about,
Oh.
on your mother.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And, Frank, thank you for filming this interview.